Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for coming back in and joining us for our next press announcement. We welcome Bayshore Networks to the forum and appreciate their desire to present to you gentlemen today and ladies. Before we start, once again, I just remind you that if you have questions, use the Q&A mechanism. We'll set aside some time at the end of the presentation to respond live to your questions and any additional questions that we can't get to, we will capture them and respond to them offline. So today, Kevin Senator from Bayshore Networks will be presenting, and Andre from Bayshore and Steve Pulaski from GE will be available to respond to your questions. So with that, Kevin, I hand the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Well, welcome everybody. It's an exciting day for us and for our friends over at GE Digital. We're announcing the acquisition of the OpShield technology portfolio by Bayshore, and we're going to have a short video presentation explaining how Bayshore and GE will now extend the technology into the industry to create what we believe is the next generation of automated security for OT and critical infrastructure networks. At the end of the presentation, we have our CTO from Bayshore, along with Mr. Steve Pulaski from GE, and Vincent Trammell, our VP of Field Operations, to answer any technical questions. And so with that, Paul, if we'll start the presentation, we'll move forward.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining our presentation today. My name is Toby Ware-Jones. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Bayshore Networks. I'm very excited to share this announcement today. As you may have heard, there is a new relationship that has been formalized between GE Digital and Bayshore Networks, in which Bayshore will be integrating the GE Digital OpShield cybersecurity solutions and putting them alongside Bayshore's existing deep content inspection, learning, and enforcement engines to create the next generation of OpShield industrial cybersecurity appliances. Our goal with this announcement is really to advance the state of the art for not only passive observation of industrial cybersecurity activity, but also the ability to provide real-time, targeted, and context-sensitive enforcement and protection for critical infrastructure. As a result, we believe this is going to be an industry-leading combination of features, and we are going to be working actively through the course of 2021 to provide a series of improved customer benefits. These are going to include a broader application of Bayshore's existing automated learning and policy building tools, making use of the Bayshore policy engine. We're going to provide additional support for a larger library of industrial OT network protocols that were previously available in OpShield. We're going to integrate all of these appliances so that they can be managed with the existing OpShield virtual management appliance. And we're going to upgrade the hardware footprint to provide a more standard C1D2 certified platform for all of those different appliance families to ensure the widest possible deployment environment options around the world. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, the intention is to make the technology, of course, available through the existing GE Digital channel. And in the meantime, you will be able to buy, of course, Bayshore solutions through that same channel via the existing relationships that are already in place. We will also be looking to make these solutions available for all the major PLC vendors and their own distribution channels. Bayshore spent much of 2020 working on those distribution relationships while the pandemic, impacted our other activities out in the field. And as a result, we have a very large worldwide network of highly sophisticated industrial distribution partners, ISVs, and integrator partners. Our goal is to bring the combined solution to market by October 1st of 2021. And as I mentioned, in the meantime, we hope that the Bayshore products will be widely adopted through existing GE Digital channels and other OpShield partner distribution mechanisms. Our goal at the end is to ensure that the products are available to existing GE Digital customers, of course, but also those sites that might not be fully on board with industrial cybersecurity solutions yet, and they may have a heterogeneous network of different PLC vendors, but what they agree upon is the need for advanced active protection in their industrial environments. Now, to give a bit of background on the Bayshore policy engine, one of the critical features that Bayshore has offered in its products for the past few years is this automated learning and protection engine. And the capabilities that we present in this engine, we believe, are industry leading. The key advantage for the customer is no particular cybersecurity expertise is required. The tools will automatically baseline and profile all the activity that they see within a given network and build suggested rules automatically. The customer has the option, of course, to modify them or create manual entries. But what we've seen in typical deployment scenarios is that 90 to 95% of the work is done automatically for the customer. And that translates to real savings, both in terms of the effort required to install the solutions, but also in terms of ongoing maintenance and in-life management. Because if the customer makes changes to their networks, they can simply put the devices back into learning mode and have those changes reflected automatically. Bayshore's policy engine is unique in the industry because it offers not only the standard DPI type features of protocol identification through packet headers, but also offers a context sensitive session oriented analysis. This is what we call deep content inspection. So we look at the initiation of a connection, we look at the response, and we look at the full payload for every protocol we support. So we don't make a distinction between some protocols where we have limited support and some where we have more advanced. If we declare support for a protocol within the Bayshore engine, it means that we can provide this full scope of capabilities for the entire vocabulary of that protocol. And we offer a tremendous flexibility. The policy engine is equipped with a large vocabulary of verbs, and these are ultimately the triggers which give the customers options on how to respond to deviations or anomalies. We choose which of those verbs to expose based on which of the Bayshore products is using the engine, and that's really a function of where the product is deployed in the network and what specific inspection and protection function it's meant to provide. But the engine is shared. It is present in all of these Bayshore solutions, and it is going to be brought forward into the OpShield solutions as a result of this relationship with GE Digital. Ultimately, the customers with the most sophisticated use cases will still have the ability to work with us directly for more targeted solutions where they're going to engage in a longer term commitment. But we do believe that for the vast majority of the existing customers, the current policy engine offers sufficient flexibility and capability to give them everything they need for a 99th percentile solution. Now, the anchor device around this strategy is what we call OT Fuse. OT Fuse is a layer 2 transparent bridge. It's available now, and it can be deployed worldwide because it uses C1D2 certified hardware for the deployment form factor. It's ultimately an endpoint protection device. What that means is it's designed to sit down in the cabinet alongside the actual PLCs, RTUs, HMIs, and other critical equipment that's directly connected to the machinery of the plant itself. Our intention with OT Fuse is generally to build a separate broadcast domain for the equipment in that cabinet so that we can apply protection policies specifically against the activity that touches that subset of devices. And the requirements from one cabinet to the next may be different. You might have different PLC vendors, different configurations, different programs, and it's important to have the ability to provide granular enforcement and protection around that specific equipment and that specific configuration, rather than try and treat everything as a single umbrella solution, as you would see if you deployed intrusion prevention or inspection capabilities, for example, in the network core. So OT Fuse is really optimized for this endpoint-oriented level 1 type deployment scenario, and its capabilities are significant around that. We also offer versions of OT Fuse which are instrumented for GE Digital SCADA solutions, specifically around iFix and Simplicity. And they work the same way. They provide all the same automated inspection and learning and rule building features of the classic OT Fuse, but they do so around the native protocols that are used by iFix and Simplicity. So for existing GE Digital customers, if they're using either of these SCADA solutions, this gives you a level 3 protection option that can work alongside the level 1 protection of classic OT Fuse, and they can all be managed with the same centralized management tools. But the goal here is to provide end-to-end protection from where the instructions originate to where they're acted upon, so that the customer has high confidence that only authorized activity from trusted sources is able to make the necessary types of interactions with the. We believe that this is a critical part of compliance with 62443 and specifically with the guidance around zones and conduits. If you look at the standard network model, we can see that dividing existing flat OT networks into a more granular solution is an important part of gaining control and being able to provide meaningful enforcement around whatever's going on. And OT Fuse gives you that ability, both up at the higher level, like I said, in the machine room or level 3, as well as down at the opposite end in level 1, where the work is being done with real machinery. As a result of the combined GE Digital and Bayshore relationship, we now have a very extensive support for protocols. You can see in the green shaded areas for full support, this is the combined list of protocols today, which includes all of the existing Bayshore protocols, as well as a number that are added from GE Digital. There are some legacy protocols that OpShield provided detection support around. We will be migrating those to provide full support as well, wherever that's possible. And then eventually what you'll see is the entire table is. The OpShield virtual management appliance is really a very sophisticated deployment and management tool. We believe it's ultimately the best one available because it provides the combination of visualization around the network and an obvious logical topology for device configuration and port assignment. But it also has a native understanding of what it means to configure policy rules with the degree of granularity that Bayshore requires. So we made the decision to commit to migrating the Bayshore appliances into the OpShield VMA so that becomes the go-forward management platform. You can see that it's a mature product. It's been around for a long time, and we're confident that customers that are using the existing Bayshore CMC, the Central Management Console, will be pleased with the opportunity to upgrade because of the additional features and capabilities that this product is going to provide. Just to touch briefly on a couple of other Bayshore solutions, Bayshore also offers a data diode solution called NetWall. This is really designed to provide an even more rigid enforcement point for the zones and conduits idea of 62443. This is a situation in which you can pull data from one existing network and replicate it into another without introducing any kind of live network connection between them. NetWall supports TCP and UDP sockets. It supports file transfer over Windows and Linux type file transfer transports, as well as native support for Modbus, OPC DA, alarms and events, and OPC UA. This gives you tremendous flexibility, for example, to replicate essentially any mainstream SCADA tool that uses UA as its underlying transport. You can now deliver a fully replicated schema of a complete SCADA deployment to an external network with zero risk that the people receiving that in that external network have any ability to manipulate the SCADA controls in the live production system itself. This is a unique capability, and it's present in every version of NetWall, from the least expensive entry-level device at 50 megabits per second up to the full line speed gigabit per second capable system. In addition to that, Bayshore offers the OT Access native content inspecting remote access solution for OT networks. We're using our same policy engine here, but we're using it to provide continuous inspection of all user sessions while they are interacting with OT assets inside a plant. And importantly, we're reversing the typical direction of connectivity so that the connections that are used for remote users are only permitted when they are initiated from inside the network via the Bayshore OT Access endpoint gateway to the OT Access server. Now, this server can be a physical device or a VM that's on site, or there's an entirely virtualized cloud-based deployment model which is available as a managed service. I'd like to hand off the discussion for live Q&A, and I'm happy to introduce Steve Pawlowski with GE Digital and Andres Andrew with Bayshore Networks, and they'll be able to answer any questions or fill in any additional details about this announcement. Thank you again for attending, and we're very excited to work with you through this year and beyond.
Thank you, Kevin. There are no open questions right now. I'm going to give our editorial participants a chance to just think for a moment and see if there's anything else they'd like our specialists to respond to. And if not, here comes one. I was just going to say, if not, there's plenty of other mechanisms to contact Bayshore through the virtual environment. Mark Hosky from Control Engineering is asking, please explain more about Bayshore Networks GE relationship. Is GE a customer, a partner with equity investment, or did GE acquire the product? Okay, well, I'm going to let Andre and Steve respond to that unless Kevin wants to.
Kevin, I'm happy to respond, or do you want to?
Yeah, no, you go ahead, Steve.
Sure. So, as Toby indicated during the presentation, we at GE Digital started working with the Bayshore team with a sort of a technology support agreement to allow them to build up support for our iFix and Simplicity HMI SCADA systems. As we got closer, what we found was that there was a great opportunity for us to leverage the strengths of both product lines. And so what we have done is actually license the OpShield technology to Bayshore. And then there's obviously a financial component to that in terms of, how GE, interacts with Bayshore. We do intend, and I think Kevin articulated this at the beginning, to facilitate the sales of the Bayshore products through our partnership or through our channel partners and through our sellers. And I think the intention is for the current Bayshore network, or at least the Bayshore sellers, to be taking the current OpShield product and building relationships with the current OpShield customer base. So we see a lot of collaboration here. And really, where having a company focused on cybersecurity solutions, that we think is that is bringing forward the OpShield technology combined with their existing OT Fuse technology seems to be the best route forward for both us together as well as our customers.
Good, thank you, Steve. Jim Montague is asking, Jim Montague from Control and Control Global, any specific implementations of Bayshore Policy Engine, the Bayshore Policy Engine that can be discussed?
I'll take that one. So I won't go, obviously we'll not go into customer names, but I can tell you that live production policies obviously range in scope. Couple of examples of the scope. For instance, we can actively block at a native protocol level commands that have write transactions involved as opposed to read. And so if a customer dictates that a certain segment of the network or certain specific users that are coming in through certain sessions can only take read or write actions, we can enforce those type of policies. We can get as granular as, for instance, stopping recon attacks. I'll use a Modbus example. Within the Modbus protocol, for instance, if we detect that a function code comes across the network that is trying to enumerate devices based on the identification function, we can block that if there is a rule in an active policy. And so the actual scope of what we can enforce on a network ranges, but we can get as granular as that recon example that I just gave.
And if I may, we have a customer doing a presentation at ARC on Wednesday. I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning, so you can actually see what the customer thinks about our technology there.
Excellent. I think we do have time for another question. Um,
I'll take that SolarWinds question.
okay, go ahead.
So the answer is
Why
yes.
don't you read the question, please?
Is the full payload active inspection methodology of this integrated solution sufficient to detect hacks like the SolarWinds incident? Or will that sort of embedded malware in a trusted update require new detection or inspection methodologies in general? So the short answer is yes, we are capable of performing those type of detections so long as there are rules that give us identifiers or indicators of compromise or different, any type of pattern that we can latch onto. But we can take a look at the entire reconstructed file object in memory, and that applies to any protocol that we understand that has file transfer capabilities. So what that means is we cover some of the enterprise protocols like the SMB and NFS families. And on top of that, we can reconstruct file objects, for instance, with S7 and those type of native OT protocols. And so once we reconstruct a file object in memory, we can take any action that a rule dictates based on the fact that we have the entire payload in memory.
Excellent, good, thank you. Mark Hosky is asking, is there a mechanism to share cybersecurity threats or breaches among questions?
So we do have the capabilities of sharing policy data. And so what that means is that the end result of any policy statement, we can share out in different ways, right? So we can actually make API calls, we can write that data out to syslog, but generally speaking, that's the dispositions that are coming out of the actual policy engine. If we needed to use that same methodology of, let's say, the egress aspect of that data, we can certainly apply that to even the rules if you consider those to be threat intel.
Yeah, I think his question, Andres, was if you think about in the home security world, a product like Ring Neighbors, where neighbors sort of share information about someone doing porch pirating or breaking into cars. I think his question is there a method for actual customers to share the fact that they've been that an attack has occurred? And from a GE perspective, the answer is no. That's not something that that we've enabled in the past. I don't know if on the Bayshore side, if you've done anything along those lines.
We have actually pushed, like I said, disposition data, which has all of the relevant intel components in there, to external systems. So the capability is there, yes.
Excellent, thank you. We don't have any more open questions and our time is just about up, so that worked just fine. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate taking the opportunity to make this announcement today. Once again, we have uploaded quite a few Bayshore materials to the virtual press room for editorial participants. Many of you have already accessed the press room. If you need help, just send me an email, pmiller@arcweb.com. And also, I just want to remind you that our next presentation will start in 20 minutes. So with that, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.